Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. As you have seen in the description above, below, to the side, maybe there's not even a description in the platform that you're tuning in through. Today we're going to be talking about COVID-19. And no, we're not going to be covering health-related issues, although you guys should pay attention to that. Wash your hands, don't touch your face. But today we're going to be covering instead how it's affecting businesses worldwide. And I know that many of you have been writing to us because your business is already feeling it. And so we promised you guys in the previous video that we did that we were going to contact some additional resources that we have available to us, experts in the matter that can talk to your specific needs. And so we've arranged a very special Zoom meeting. Side note, Zoom, we use it a lot at ULTIM. This is not a sponsored video, so there's nothing that we gain from this, but we do use Zoom a lot and we highly recommend it for our clients and anybody watching this. If you're trying to meet with clients remotely, or you have a group of staff members that are working from home and you still need to keep in touch with them, perfect platform to utilize. So highly recommend it. And so going on to our special guest, I want to introduce our dear friend, Adamequevedo. He has extensive experience in commercial banking as well as business consulting. And he has done us the honor of being with us today. So Adam, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's been an interesting few days, week and a half about.
Yes, interesting to say the least. Just so that our audience can learn a little bit about you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've really been in the last decade or so been working with a lot of companies with sales, business development, really finance for the most part. And I have a couple of partners that work in the legal field, and together we've really been able to help our clients kind of get a grasp of their legal needs, their finance, accounting, and really their marketing, sales, and strategy for the Atlanta area.
That's amazing. Thank you so much again for being with us today and for taking time out of your schedule. Let's dive right into it. So businesses have been shutting down all around the world. It started in China. Then, Italy has been suffering so much. We weren't expecting it this hard in the US, but yet here we are, right? And so as a consultant, what are those things that you're seeing that businesses are taking action on?
Yeah, so spoken to a number of our clients. Actually, I've just met with one client face-to-face over the last week and a half. Everything's been virtual for the most part, so a lot of phone calls, a lot of video conference calls. So definitely thank some great organizations like Zoom, Skype, and a number of other companies that are out there that enable companies to meet virtually and keep their operations flowing. We have seen a couple of alarming things. I was actually meeting with a chain of grocery stores yesterday, and they are selling more than they've ever sold before. But the problem that they had mentioned to me is that now their suppliers, their biggest suppliers, are having fulfillment issues on meeting their demands. So whether it be chicken, meat, rice, some major staples, they're having a hard time finding vendors. So they're calling left and right. They're also trying to find their non-traditional vendors as a way of fulfilling those needs. One of my other clients imports a lot of products from Asia, and their vendors have kind of stopped returning their calls, stopped returning their emails, and their supply of products, their prime products that are coming in, is almost grinded to a halt, and that's a concern for them to be able to keep manufacturing their products. And my last client that I spoke with yesterday, they also ship quite a ton of products to France and Italy, and their products simply are not moving right now. So she's automatically thinking, what do I do with my client, with my employees? What do I do with my vendors? As soon as FedEx stops shipping, we're done. We're toast for the most part, and it's going to take us a long time to recoup from that. So those are the conversations we have with our clients. So it really is important to have a awareness of what's going on, not just looking for the next 1 week to 2 weeks, but really looking for the next quarter to 6 months, and obviously throughout the end of the year.
What are some recommendations that you're giving your clients? I mean, after all of this has happened in China and in Italy, where people are literally not able to interact with each other, not go out of their houses, what are you recommending your clients, in this regard, knowing that, pretty soon it could turn into that. What are some strategies that you guys are suggesting?
Yeah, so I think getting a bigger picture, like I said, not just focusing on the next week, but really looking out through the end of the year. It is my opinion that we will be in a recession before the year is over. So planning that, what is it going to be a contractor? What is it going to be? Growth is not going to be what it used to be, what we've known for the last 10 years, right? We've had the longest economic expansion over the last decade. That is no longer going to be the case. I read a stat about 20% of workers in America are starting to lose their income, lose their hourly wages, and that alone is going to have long-lasting effects for the American economy. So having a cognizant understanding of who are my clients, where are they buying, who are my vendors, where am I buying, where are my vendors buying their products from, and having a clear idea of what is going on with your supply chain. I think that's kind of the key thing in understanding where's my customer base. Am I talking to them? Am I engaging with them? And really understanding what is it going to be a drop of 20, 30% to my bottom line going to do to my business, right? Once we have that understanding, then you're really looking at, okay, what's my cash here? What's my cash on hand? What are my receivables? What are my payables? And are they normally 90 days? Are they 60 days? Are they 30 days? Do I have a lot of government contracts, which are 120 days, even 180-day contracts? So what am I doing to really immediately improve my accounts receivables and extend my payables? So how do you do that? Really looking at your accounts receivables and immediately asking, hey, is this worth taking a 5, 10, 15% hit on the cost of the contract to be able to get paid now? Do I think this vendor is going to be able to last for the next 90 days? What does their payment process look like for the next 90 days? Do I take, like I said, a 10 to 15% cut? If you give me, through the end of the next 10 days, I'll give you a discount to pay me today. Right? Do I accept credit cards? Is that, 2 to 3% fee worth me getting paid tomorrow versus having me to finance this client's payables over the next 30 to 60 days? In my opinion, that's what I would tell all my clients is starting to accept credit cards and trying to accept the discounts on those receivables to be able to get the cash up front, and then trying to stop the bleeding of cash, right? How can we reduce costs at first sight, right? So how am I able to do that? Do I start looking for new vendors that are cleaning my office? Do I try to look for cheaper insurance? Do I look for other ways to save on utilities, cell phone? Is there anything do I need on hand right now that I can get rid of? If your lease is up, do you look for smaller plays? I know moving can be expensive, but those are just some things that you can look at. And then from other things from a payables is, do I have a line of credit, or do I have a very low, zero interest credit card, or a very long-term line of credit that I can really tap into? Because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to store up your fort, and that fort is that cash, right? Cash is king. How can I keep it on hand as much as possible and spread out that receivables for at least the next quarter? And then we can see what the outcome is going to be from an economic standpoint. And then you can use that cash on hand as an annuity flow to really be able to spend on, do I buy in bulk, right? Am I getting discounts of buying in bulk, buying up front, any type of discounts for doing that later on down the road? But as of right now, I would try to keep this cash on hand as much as possible and try to stop that bleeding of cash flow and try to use your lines of credit and other sources and uses of cash or credit.
Great points. And, as a marketing agency, we continue to see things evolve. Right now, people are not being able to interact with people face to face as they were before. And so, whereas before they relied on foot traffic or being able to meet with people face to face, those things are changing. And so because they're changing and it's getting much harder to close the sale, right, then people automatically assume that the first thing to go is the marketing because that's the expense that they don't need. But in reality, let's just be honest, if you don't have marketing, you're not being top of mind for your customer, right? And so therefore, you're not bringing in additional business for your business. And so that turns into a complication, right? So right now with the shift, with people not being able to interact face to face, what are some changes that you're noticing in terms of marketing, in terms of operations that you see your clients doing? What are some things that you guys are experiencing and recommending?
So we've had a number of clients that are face-to-face sales, and not being able to meet with their clients is a huge, huge downer for them, a big impact on being able to close the deal or gain the project. So how can our clients really utilize resources like, for instance, Zoom, a GoToMeeting, WebEx, Citrix? Those are some great ways of being able to stay in front of your clients. And really, I don't think there's anything more than going back old school and getting out a pen and paper and writing a handwritten letter with a note saying, hey, we value you as a client. We know you're going through a tough time. Those touches of, we get so many emails in every day, getting something handwritten, going way old school. A handwritten note goes so long, and I'm actually recommending a lot of our clients, and we're doing that too, sending our clients, some gift baskets, some chocolates, some things like that to let them know, hey, we're here for you. We understand what you're going through. Anything we can do to help, please don't hesitate to contact us. From a digital perspective, when you're trying to close that deal, trying to close your contracts, there's a lot of, obviously Adobe and Preview are great options of invoicing, electronic invoicing, sending out invoices. And then really like DocuSign. DocuSign is a phenomenal platform to be able to sign contracts, confirm, invoices, be able to get important documents back and forth. Also, apart from DocuSign, I'm on blank here. But anyways, there's a number of different ways that you can really, like Genius Scan, so converting docs to PDF and then having them sent out and having an electronically signature. So there's a lot of apps that you can really take a picture, scan a document, convert that to a PDF, send it out to your client. So those are things that we're talking to our clients about, how you can digitally keep your business going.
Those are great ideas, Adam, and I hope that our audience was taking note of them. I think that the game to play here is staying relevant, right? So right now you can take advantage of anything, even writing a letter or sending a thank you note, or just, picking up the phone and talking to people. But remember, people are glued to their screens. I mean, that's all they can do right now at home. So, it's a great opportunity for businesses to continue advertising to their audience, or to their customers. But, let's talk about what probably will happen to some people watching us, where, they're doing all of these things to try to maintain business going, but it's just not picking up quick enough. And so, they may need some emergency loans that they can get. We've been hearing some loans that might be offered or will be offered or are being offered, depending on when you're watching this video, by SBA, right? But what happens if you can't get one, or like, what are some options? Because getting an SBA loan, it can be a little bit tough sometimes. So what are some options that our audience has in order to move forward if they can't get business to pick up fast enough, or they can't get one of these loans that we've been hearing about a lot lately?
Yeah, that's a great point. And actually just literally about 30 minutes ago received an email about the SBA disaster assistance response and how those funds are kind of going to be deployed and what the criteria is for that. Now, keep in mind, I want a lot of people to understand the SBA doesn't lend directly to companies. They are a guarantor. So the banks are the ones that underwrite deals, and the SBA is simply validating that this is a company that we're going to guarantee. If there is a default or non-payment, the SBA guarantees a portion of the loan back to the financing or institution or financing organization or bank, right? So that's basically what the SBA is there for. It is really when there's a shortfall of collateral, and most financing institutions require collateral coverage to be there, and when there isn't, that's when the SBA comes in and steps in. But this is a different scenario, I would say. So I'm gonna read this off here. So they are doing long-term loans up to 30 years. Interest rates are at 3.75 for businesses, 2.75 for nonprofits, and the purpose of the loan is for working capital to pay fixed debts, payroll, and other bills because of COVID-19. So the specific reason is I was not able to pay these bills because of the specific virus that affected my day-to-day operations. It is for small businesses and nonprofit organizations. Like you said, it's up to $2 million. The requirements are 2 years business tax returns and personal for anyone that is over 20% owner of the institute or the organization. So anyone that's over 20% would have to provide 2 years business or 2 years personal. The company would have to provide 2 years business, and we would need what's called a personal financial statement for anyone that's over 20% owner. That is an SBA Form 413, and really a schedule of your liabilities, and we would need the most recent P&L and balance sheet for that, and your monthly sales figures. There is a lot of forms. It's a lot of information they're going to ask you, and they're going to want to figure out, have you ever been to jail? Have you ever, what type of person are you? Are you a credible person? Do we want to, are you a worthy person to be able to receive funds from the federal government? Is basically what they're going to ask, apart from just the underwriting of your company and you yourself. Are you overexposed? Do you have too much liabilities? Those are the questions they're asking from an SBA's perspective.
So
apart from that, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So say that is the case for some of those people that are listening to us right now. If that is the case, what are some alternatives that that they can use to finance their business during this time?
And so there are a lot of organizations that I would say it can be a simpler and more streamlined process. For instance, by providing even just 1 year of business taxes. Based on the numbers, based on your revenues, most financial institutions will only lend a percentage of your top line revenue. So your total sales, kind of line one there, what were your total sales? And then they're going to look at what is your total net income in comparison to your total revenues. And they're going to lend a percentage of total revenues. That's the max they'll lend to you. And then they're going to look at that bottom line, or that M1. What is your M1 income? Based on that, they're going to try to calculate what's your debt to service ratio for the company itself. I would say most companies don't have a problem lending up to $100,000 with just 1 year business taxes. So that process looks about, I would say, 2 weeks turnaround time to be able to get a loan funded or a line of credit funded based on 1 year company's financials.
Great. That's definitely good to know that there's options for those people watching us to keep their business going even during this hard time. Again, we really appreciate your time, Adam. Before we close out the segment, anything that you would like to close with?
Yeah, so absolutely. So keep in mind, working from home, and this is already something that is happening, but it's going to get worse. So what technology infrastructure do you have in place to be able to support a work from home environment? So is everyone going to be flooding the network? Is it going to be able to stand that bandwidth, right? So if you're going to be sending countless conference calls and emails and be able to get on from a VPN, how secure is it? And as soon as you have a bunch of people working from home, if you have that, what technology infrastructure do you have in place? Is your CRM supporting all these users? What technology access do you need to give to your employees? And then the second part of that is controls. So fraudsters are hitting hard more than ever before, electronic fraud, obviously data theft. So by giving access to your employees' work from home environments, there is going to be data breaches more than we've ever seen before. I can guarantee you fraudsters are praying for weak links and loopholes to be able to get into your systems. So testing continuously. Do you have an IT security, cybersecurity expert? Do you have insurance to cover these items? And so going on insurance, this is a key thing. Do you have business continuation insurance for these types of events? It does exist. So whether it be, your warehouse got robbed or there's a fire in your office complex, do you have insurance for business continuation to be able to support your employees from a work from home, be able to continue to pay your bills from that? And lastly, really, what security and emergency processes do you have in place so that each person knows what they're going to be doing? And having that control feature is going to be essential to be able to move forward, and really having an open, honest conversation with your vendors and saying, hey, this is exactly what we're saying. What are you saying? Having those open dialogues with your neighbors, with your business neighbors, to be able to get a better understanding of what the business environment is happening around you. So those are a couple of things extra that we've talked to our clients about. fraud is a huge deal for most businesses, and it can bankrupt, and we've seen it bankrupt businesses in the past. So what security measures do you have in place to prevent that from happening? Are your employees secure to prevent that happening? And what's that technology aspect that you have to enable your employees to do their job moving forward?
Definitely, definitely. Once again, Adam, thank you so much. If anybody needed to get in contact with you, would you like to share your maybe social media or email where we can reach you at?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn. Adam Quevedo. Also Instagram, Adam Quevedo. I think is my Instagram. My email is Adam Quevedo. That's ADAMEQUE, V as in Victor, E as in Edward, D as in David, O as in October. My last name is a complicated one. At iCloud.com is really one of the emails that I use the most. I'm just so used to Apple and their iCloud email that I got a clean inbox there, so I use that for the most part. And the other thing, engage in social media with your clients. I've reached out to a number of my clients via even Instagram. Hey, I'm at home. Hey, I'm with my kids, and just shooting a message and just staying engaged and saying, hey, how are your kids doing? Hey, how are your grandparents doing? Hey, how is your family in Italy doing? I've had some clients that their family is in Italy, and just those messages go a long way, and it opens up the door for other types of conversations.
Of course, of course. Great ideas, Adam. Again, thank you so much for your time with us, and we thank you for tuning in and staying with us this long. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, we want to remind you, you can sign up for our email list. It is somewhere in the link, and so we will be sharing even more resources that you can take advantage of during this time that will help you a lot with working remotely and managing your team. So stay tuned, sign up, and we'll see each other next time.